My name is Ray Cool. I'm CEO of PBSI Technology Solutions. I want to thank you for joining today's webinar. Today we're going to talk about file encryption and cloud security. So this is the third of 4 cybersecurity education series webinars for clients and friends of Scroggs & Greer. And once again, I want to thank our friends and colleagues at Scroggs & Greer who envisioned the need for this information. It's really important and have been actively involved in planning. Scroggs & Greer is a firm that we have seen full of integrity and excellence over a long, long number of years. We're honored to partner. So we're going to move into content. So the important goal of this series is to inform and educate. We want to improve knowledge about electronic security, and we want to provide practical information about what we need to change, and if so, how do we do that? And I'll make this comment. We have a varied audience. There are many in attendance who are healthcare organizations, many businesses, nonprofits, independent professionals. There's important content here for everyone. We'll try and address unique individual needs as possible. So we've reviewed in previous webinars, which by the way, recordings will be available for all of these to Scroggs & Greer clients. We reviewed an overview of securing personal data. We reviewed really important content last week. We reviewed email security practices, practical examples, knowing how to find bad emails. Today, our topic is file encryption and cloud security. And then 2 days from now, the final webinar in this series, we're going to talk about password management, which is really important. I encourage you to attend if you haven't registered for that webinar. It's maybe the most important content that we'll cover. Today's content, file encryption and cloud security. So we want to talk about why we want to encrypt files, which files we want to encrypt, and how we do that both at rest, meaning sitting on a hard drive, and 2, when in transit. So those are the 2 key topics, and then we'll review some specifics about cloud security. So for those of you familiar with PBSI, you know over many, many years we work with hundreds of organizations in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana in healthcare, business, professional, nonprofit. Our goal and our role with all of our clients is providing IT services and increasingly IT security and security monitoring. So it's out of the things that we learn every day that we share this content. So first, encrypting files at rest, meaning nobody has the file open. This could be a Word document, it could be a tax return, it could be any kind of a Word or PDF or any kind of a document. The file's not open, it's sitting on your hard drive. What is file encryption? Why is it important? So encryption, most of you likely know, it's a term that describes garbling data that can't be read without a private key, which is the password to a document. So when you password protect a document, you have encrypted that document. If the data is garbled, it's not stored in the same format, and it can't be opened unless somebody has the password. So the encryption security varies based on the technology used and on the length of the key, which is the password. So you've probably heard before, if you have something you really want to protect, use a long password. Long passwords are much harder, exponentially harder to decrypt than short passwords. Length is the enemy of hacker decryption software. So use a long password when the document is important. So why do we include encrypt files at rest? From whom are we protecting information? Well, generally speaking, the answer is future hackers. If you were hacked, if you had a ransomware event, if you had malware that got under the surface on your PC or on your network, the question is, what could they learn and how would you know if they're there? And the fact is, not everybody's as astute as the IT staff at Scroggs & Greer, and knowing that a hack has taken place is something that can go on for a while. So the question is, if you were hacked, one of your PCs, one of your users made a mistake, or there were another entry door for a hacker, what could a hacker find? So the answer is anything that is contains critical information for which you're responsible, and generally that means personally identifiable information, PII, or protected health information, PHI, which essentially means anything where a name is associated with other information that's identifying like dates of birth, social security numbers, credit card numbers, account numbers, driver's license, passports, ICD codes, CPT codes. These are the things that, when associated with a name, become saleable to a hacker. And so it's our obligation, each of us, if we're in control of a PC or a network, that we need to make sure that that is not sitting out there for a hacker to get, were they to access our network. So I'm going to move now to doing a short demonstration. First of all, how would I know what files are stored on my PC or my network that needs encrypting? So I'm going to demonstrate a product that we use at PBSI called Data Breach Risk Intelligence Scanning. This is going to be really short. And then I'm going to go through a short workshop where I'm actually going to encrypt a file at rest. You should be aware that all registrants for this webinar will receive a handout that goes through how to encrypt Word files and Excel files and PDF files. So what I'm going to show you on a screen, you'll also get a handout. So I'm going to move now to a short demonstration. So what you're seeing is PBSI's security monitoring dashboard. And technicians monitoring this dashboard are looking for all kinds of security events, but I'm specifically focused on workstations at PBSI, and I've asked only to see those at PBSI that have the name associated with them. So I'm going to use, for demonstrating, my own desktop PC. Every night at PBSI, we have a scan run on all of our servers, and not all, but most of our PCs, anywhere there may be some risk for protected information being stored there. And I'm going to show you what we see. So last night, when, as is done every night, this scan was run on Ray's PC, it found some results, and I'm now going to be able to look at this. So what we do for a client, if this is installed for a client, we're paying attention to these scans every night, but once a month, we'll send you the results that you're going to see here in very brief form that identify, here are all the files that have shown up on your network that a hacker might want to see. So I'm going to do two things here. I want to see the specific results on this PC, and I want to see overall how is our protection as an organization. So this is what was found on Ray's PC last night. What the scanner thinks is if a hacker were to sell this data, it would be worth $5,200. There's an algorithm where a piece of data, if it's just a name, is worth $0. If it's attached to a credit card number, it adds something else, date of birth, something else. And so the data gets more valuable the more complete the data set is. So what did it find on Ray's PC? Here's the list of all the things, and I'm just going to look at a couple of these. So first of all, it found something in my sent mail, in my Outlook. So this is important. So you see the zip code report. The scan doesn't show me the data, but this report was sent by Ray in his email, and it was encrypted. This message says that Ray encrypted this email in transit. So good job, Ray. That was not put at risk when it went onto the internet, but guess what? That attachment still sits in Ray's Outlook sent mail. Oh, I didn't think about that. That's why sometimes you see the option when you right-click on an email to remove attachment. That's what it's there for, is to get things that might have sensitive information out of not just your documents folder or your deleted documents on your PC, but it finds things in Outlook that are sensitive. One other thing, I keep a file on my PC exactly for this purpose. It found an Excel file with the name, this is actually the file name, sample file with dummy SS numbers, and these aren't real social security numbers, but the first 3 and the last 2 digits are exposed, so I can see, oh yeah, those really are. Well, in this case, they aren't. They're there for demonstration purposes, but every document, every email that sits on Ray's PC that has something that appears to be social security numbers, dates of birth, anything that's sensitive, it shows up. So why is this useful? This is useful so that we know which files at rest are candidates to either delete them and also get them out of our recycle bin and or encrypt them. So this is really useful, and it's an optional thing. A lot of our clients have us do this intelligence scanning for them, but otherwise, how do you really know what sits there? So this is something we can do for any organization. Just ask us if you want some help with this. So If I decide I want to encrypt the document, how do I do this? So I'm now going to go and I'm going to go to my PC. I'm going to call up a Microsoft Word document. And the document I'm going to use is actually the document that you receive as a handout. So this document describes how do you encrypt a Microsoft Office file, how do you encrypt a PDF file from an MS Office app, and also how do you encrypt the PDF file if you're using Adobe Professional. So I'm going to do this now, and the way you do it is File, Save or Save As. There's a selection here called Options, Tools. This might seem really complicated, but it gets quite straightforward. And I give this document a name, or excuse me, a password. So I do not enter something in the password to modify. This is all included in the handout. And I say, okay, it asks me to re-enter my password. And now I'm not going to complete the final step. I'm not going to do this because I don't really want to encrypt this document. So I'm going to cancel this, but that's it. Every single person who has Microsoft Office, and this goes back to old versions, you can do a save as and choose more options, tools, general, enter a password. So you can encrypt the document. So if you have a document you'd like to send by email and you know that there's sensitive information in it, then you have a way. So one other thing, I'll take that same document now and I'm going to create an encrypted PDF. So this is something that is hard to find. So if I'm going to create a PDF, I'm going to export and I'm going to create a PDF XPS document. So again, this is on the instructions. I click that button and I choose options. So it's a bit different. And the key is I say encrypt this document and I give it a name, password, better key one. And here, it's a bit different, but by having done that, now I click publish instead of save, and the document saves, and I now have created an encrypted PDF. No extra cost software needed. You do not need Adobe Professional in order to encrypt a document. You need Microsoft Office. So key to know here is that any recipient of an encrypted PDF file can open it with a password. All they need is Adobe Reader, which is free. So not going to save any of that, but hopefully that's quick, but you understand that you can, every one of us can encrypt a document, whether it's a Word or an Excel or a PDF file. And so learning how to do that allows you to fix your own problems if you find something you don't want to get rid of, but you do want to protect it. That's encrypting files at rest. So the second, and probably for most of us, more frequent, more important, is learning the importance of encrypting files during transmission. So during transmission, essentially for most of us means by email. So why do I need to do this? This little diagram says me, the sender, between when I send an email out, whatever mail server I'm using, and it goes through the internet, if the traffic is encrypted, then it's locked and nobody can read that traffic. If it's not encrypted, then attacks can be done where somebody can read the email address before it leaves the server, or it can read the email address before it enters the server's or the recipient's email address. And it is this at either end of the spectrum that we want to guard against, because you may think, by the time I push the send button and it goes somewhere else, how could somebody possibly benefit or make use of that? But this is all captured electronically, and the tools to capture are free for a high school kid. So it's why CMS says it is not permissible to send sensitive information by email. It is not a secure medium. It may not be done. It's a HIPAA violation. Same is true if you're a person who sends tax returns or payroll information to your payroll provider, anything that's got employee social security numbers. If you have sensitive information, you need to make sure that's encrypted. It is not permissible to send it by email. Okay, so how do we fix that problem? We have three options. We encrypt the email itself, we encrypt the attachment if there's nothing else in the email that is sensitive, or we use a secure file sharing portal. So for those of you, all of you who are Scrog and Secure clients, Please hear this. Next time you send tax documents to Scrogg & Greer, anything that's got secure information, you can go to Scrogg & Greer share file and upload the document. What happens is this portal that Scrogg & Greer has created for you creates a VPN, so when you submit a document, it is secure all the way. So that makes it really simple. You don't have to do anything different. Just don't email the document, send it by portal. So if you do, and there are many times for all kinds of reasons that we want to send information we'd like to send by email, I'm going to do a short demonstration of how do you encrypt an email and how you've already seen how to encrypt an attachment. If I'd done a encryption of a document, then I can attach that document to an email and send it on. And the key there is I have to communicate to the recipient what is the password to open that document. So the key thing here is don't send the password in the email. You're defeating the purpose. Instead, tell the recipient that you'll send them a text, or you'll leave them a voice message, or you could use a fax as to what the password is with that document. So I'm going to do a short demonstration of a very useful piece of software. This comes with Office 365 as a $2 a month option. So there are most email products have the ability to pay an extra fee to use encryption. So we can help anybody who wants to know what's the best way for you to encrypt email given your situation. But Office 365 provides this feature, and I'm going to use it right now to send an encrypted email and show you how that's done. So I'm going to go to Ray's inbox. I'm going to start a new email, and I'm going to send this to my Gmail address and copy my work address. And I'm going to insert an attachment, which is not encrypted in this case. So I'll encrypt that attachment. I could include a PDF file as well. And whatever, I'll do this with this option in Office 365. I choose Options, Permission, and then there are some choices. The default is unrestricted access, which means not encrypted, but I'm going to choose Do Not Forward, which limits what the recipient can do. So when I send that, I get a little message here, but that has been sent, and now into my email will show up a message. I'm going to go to my Gmail account. Yeah, it might take this a second to refresh. So I'm going to see this email that came from Ray at PBSI, and here's what the recipient receives. So two things to know, that there are two options. When I click read the message, I will either get a choice to use a one-time passcode or log in with my email provider. Since if I say sign in with Google, then the default, next time I receive an email that's encrypted from the same person who just sent this to me, it will allow me to open up without a further passcode. But I'm going to do what most people will do here, and that's to sign in with a one-time passcode. So it says, what's the one-time passcode? And I go to my email, and I'll find, oh, excuse me, I better go to my Gmail. And I'll find my one-time passcode always is received really quickly. I'll copy that password, and I'll paste it into my email. Pardon me. And so it's pretty straightforward for the end user. They get an email immediately, they can receive this, and now here is the email. So there are prohibitions. There is no option to forward this. I can't forward it in Gmail or AOL or Yahoo. I can't forward it at all, but I do have the option to open up the attachment. So in this case, the attachment wasn't encrypted, so I can do anything I want with that. The email was encrypted, and so here it is in my own inbox as well. So sending an encrypted email requires that you have an email that has an option to encrypt. So the way I just showed it done in Office 365, the actual mechanics will vary, but if you use Office 365, $2 a month subscription. If you don't have any email option that permits this, you can sign up for Exchange Online, $4 a month, add this $2 a month option for $6 a month. Any person can have encrypted email. So we can help with that if you have questions. So I just wanted to do a quick demonstration. It is not difficult. It's just important that you arrange for it if you're ever in a position where you need to email sensitive information. Okay, last topic today, cloud storage. So many, we find clients and others are wondering, what should I be moving to the cloud? Should I have a server in-house? What should I do with my shared documents? Well, I want to say that this is a very viable thing that a lot of people could benefit from. By that I mean using cloud storage. So when would it be beneficial for my organization to consider this? So basically, here are the reasons why you might want to. The idea of shared storage in general is to have a place that's a central repository where multiple staff or multiple family members, multiple people can go and access that information wherever they are. So multi-location access, if you need a document from home or traveling or multiple locations, then it's very helpful. You don't have to be logged into your local network. If I use multiple devices, I use a PC, I use a laptop, I use an iPhone, an iPad, whatever, Macintosh, then all of these, I can store a document with one of these and retrieve it with the others because it's not stored on my device, it's stored in a secured internet location. So another reason I might consider this is critical need for availability. If my internet is down at work or my network connection is unavailable and I'm not in that location, I'm home, I'm in a hotel, the critical need for availability, generally speaking, nothing's perfect, but uptime will be higher in a cloud environment. Am I concerned that my documents aren't being backed up regularly or completely in a local PC or local server? Cloud storage takes care of that. Cloud storage always comes with automatic backup. Or I'm concerned about reliability. I'm storing files on an old server or on an old PC, and I don't know if that might fail. So there are good reasons to possibly consider cloud storage. And there are tons of options, and most of them are free or nearly free. So for most of us, if we're in a Microsoft environment, SharePoint is the file sharing protocol called OneDrive if it's personal, but for an organization, SharePoint or Google Drive, which is free and works quite well. There are lots of other options, Box and Dropbox and others. So choosing the environment is not so critical as the process that we go through. So relative to encryption, how does this impact this discussion about encryption? So for the same reason as we encrypt storing, we recommend storing files with sensitive information on a local drive in encrypted mode. We recommend that same thing for the cloud. So here's the truth about most cloud storage. Almost all of these options, SharePoint, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, they all provide for the two key elements. That data is encrypted and transmit when you send or receive documents, and it's encrypted at rest. So if you choose to use cloud storage, it is not a requirement that you encrypt those documents, just like it's not a requirement that you encrypt them on your C drive or on your network drive. It's simply recommended as a protection against hackers. So that's why I might do it. And then one other thing, I'm just going to describe this. We've learned so much about file sharing over a long number of years. We see offices all over the place where the idea for sharing files is there, but the mechanics are not. So again, we can help anybody with this process, but if you want to set up shared folder, this is a process that really works. First, establish a policy, no organizational documents on C drives. Not permitted here. You can't store anything on your C drive. Then think through and establish what are our guidelines for shared folder use, and publish and train staff before we first start sharing these so that people know where to store documents and where to find them. So a very critical piece of advice here, do not copy documents and store a copy in the cloud and also locally. That seems like a good idea. While that's risk-free, it is not. At the end of the day, you have a location locally and in the cloud where you have the same documents. That will eventually be a disaster. You'll update one, the other doesn't get updated. When you decide to do this, move the documents there. Don't copy them as an extra copy. Just some experience there. Setting up a shared drives is really easy. It takes minutes to do this on most networks, and it can be set up either on a secure internal location like a server or a shared PC, or it can be done in a web location. In either event, you can give the drive a letter so that every PC then is mapped. So this is also key. each PC needs to be able to get that information really easily. Because if you have data stored out there and it takes somebody 3 minutes to go find a file, you've defeated your purpose. So when you set this up, map the drives on each PC, which is a simple few-second process. Again, we can help anybody do this, but many of you may already know how to do this. And then you can set up folders with security-specific permissions so that some of the folders have payroll information. Well, not everybody has access to that. And then a final step that's really important is go to MS Office on each PC and set the default save location to that shared drive location, because the most common thing that happens that causes file sharing to fail is not that people don't comply out of a willingness to not comply. They don't know where to save it, and it ends up where it ends up. So just a little bit of work can really make this work for you. There's great benefits to sharing documents, whether locally or in the cloud. And then one other comment is it makes the job much easier to manage protected information if all protected information goes into a certain folder or set of folders. So if you're on a home PC, under your documents, if you have a folder called tax information and put everything there, you have a lot easier time in knowing to encrypt that information rather than if it's just scattered. Okay, so we're almost finished with content today. Summarizing the principles of encryption at rest and during transmission are both important. Two different topics, but both important. We've talked about cloud security. This all fits into the context of overall security practices where, if you're in the first webinar, you know the basics are we need to have effective current antivirus and malware protection. We need to make sure our patches are up to date, that we're not downloading software, that all files are backed up. This is your protection against attacks of malware, ransomware, whatever. Email security, make sure everybody understands how to evaluate emails. And I'll make this point about Microsoft Office Advanced Threat Protection. This is the $2 a month product that if somebody clicks on the wrong, quote, wrong link, it explodes that in the cloud. And instead of actually causing damage, it gives me a message saying that's a malicious website. Same thing with an attachment. So it's a really, really useful $2 a month option to help. Encrypt sensitive information. The next topic that we'll cover on Thursday, manage passwords. It's a problem we all face, and there's a lot of really important content. So we are finished with content. I want to thank you for your attendance.